You knew it before it happened. Even when others doubted you, even when others asked for proof, you just knew. If that resonates with you, you're a seer, and this is your truth channel. This is the first in a 4-part deep dive in the 4 channels of truth framework, which I have created to help you discern how you personally identify truth so that you can channel like a pro and change your life and maybe even the world for the better. I want to start by saying that this framework is not just a concept. This is not just a typing or, another personality theory. This is a remembering. This is a tool to help you remember your true essence, your true gifts for what they are before the world taught you how you were supposed to operate. This is the channel that I personally live from, and that has absolutely rewritten my life from the inside out. I just have gone through a major energetic shift in my personal life, and this is the voice that I'm personally anchoring into right now as I move through this sort of transitional period. I hope that through these channels, you too can find an anchoring and a source of trust and guidance. Okay, so first of all, the Seer channel. So what makes the Seer the Seer? So what's unique about the Seer is that this channel does not come through analysis. It comes entirely through field resonance and attunement. So what does that mean? The language of the Seer is energy. It is the unspoken, the metaphysical, the undercurrents that are always moving throughout us and our lives and the world around us. So essentially it's receiving truth in energy before it even turns into words or logic or proof. It's a feeling, impressions. How I like to visualize this is the field is essentially the web that connects all of us, that connects all beings and all things. This larger web or network that connects all of us, things are shifting all the time. We don't see it because in the physical dimension of reality, it doesn't directly mirror what's happening in the field. It's the energy where the physical follows. It's the beginning, it's source, it's the place where everything we know once came from. So the physical dimension lags a little bit behind. But this web, this network of energy and frequency that connects all of us, when things move, which is constantly, a seer feels it based on resonance. You will know that this is your truth channel if you feel the tone of the room shift before anything is said. You've had dreams or flashes that came true later on in life. You've carried a sense of future memory your entire life, like a knowing that something is true in the future. It's not psychic performance. It's not, let me tell you your fortune. It's embodied intelligence. And it's not just, yes, the seer can at times read people, very much so, but it's not about reading people necessarily. It's about reading the field, and the field tells you what it wants you to hear. And sometimes it tells you about a person, and sometimes it tells you about things and situations and life and meaning and anything. The field is kind of its own intelligence in a way, so it's, it takes you wherever it wants your attention to go. So when this channel opens, life becomes quite, I don't want to say magical because I don't want to set any false, oh my God. Well, that's kind of special. Somehow I'm not bothered. Normally I would be. That was really cool. Yeah, life becomes more meaningful, sweeter. It doesn't mean it gets easier or that there's no pain or grief. Very much the opposite. You actually are more conscious through all of it. So in certain times it becomes actually quite tender. You just start to really have a sense of wonder, and you just notice so much more. You know that nothing happens in vain. Nothing is meaningless. Everything has a purpose of some reason. And we know this in nature as well. And we are nature. So we just start to really feel that. It doesn't just become concept, it becomes embodied knowing. And when you have that sense of embodied knowing about what the universe is, what life is all about, and how it's really just a journey for learning and processing and remembering. The way that we experience it is just so drastically different. When this channel opens, you may notice a quiet knowing that doesn't need proof, goosebumps when something resonates, a physical no before you even figured out why, peace that precedes clarity, not the other way around. And it's really not a loud channel. It's not loud at all. If you're looking for like a voice to be like, no, don't do that, or like, you're on the path, like it doesn't, at least for me, it comes from a quiet, very peaceful, still part of me that I probably never would have even thought to look for when I was still in survival consciousness and driven by ego and fear. The seer does not need to explain. I mean, it just, the resonance is the explanation. I'm sorry, by the way, if you can hear my dog splashing around in the water. He's having a grand old time. The struggle here is that in a world that constantly demands proof, the seer often gets silenced, undermined, dismissed, because that's not the world that we live in or operate in. And sometimes we even do it to ourselves because that's kind of how we're conditioned. The shadow side of the seer channel looks like mistaking wishful thinking for intuitive truth, projecting potential onto people who aren't living it, escaping into symbolism instead of grounding into reality, feeling like no one gets it because they can't feel what you feel. The seer in shadow can doubt, second guess, and worst of all, a seer can shrink their knowing to fit into other people's logic. This channel reopens in silence and stillness and space. I am currently in the mountains right now with just my dog and I. There is a dude behind me staying in that cabin, but it's pretty spacious and it's quiet and it's peaceful, and this is exactly the kind of place that I need to go to clear my channel, reset my nervous system, and come back to a place of equanimity, or as close to it as I have the capacity for at this point in my life. But if you do not have the luxury of hopping in the car and driving out into the mountains and staying at a beautiful campground on a lake, then here are some other ways that work very well also. Listening to my dreams before I look at the data, and really leaning into them and feeling them and immersing myself in them. And I mean both dreams at night when you sleep, but also dreams during the day, because I think daydreaming is a huge part of it as well. Taking a deep breath, closing my eyes, placing my hand on my chest, and asking myself, what's the truth beneath the noise? Walking a long walk, preferably in nature without a podcast or music. Sitting in the feeling of a space before I speak into it, like absorbing, like allowing the sponge to kind of sink into it a little bit, obviously with boundaries, but enough to really taste it and feel the texture of an environment. And most of all, and this I cannot stress enough, protecting my energy like my life depends on it. Seers are the most energy sensitive of all the 4 types, which means we are sponges to energy. And that's a really beautiful thing, but it can be a really bad thing when it is unchecked, when we don't learn our boundaries or our capacity, and we don't have awareness around that. We can often let other people seep into our energy. We can also sometimes even get confused about where we end and where other people begin. So making sure that your cup is full at all times, non-negotiable, absolutely non-negotiable. You need to make sure you are taking care of yourself and filling up your cup first and protecting your energy like your life depends on it. That's the only way the channel is going to stay open and fluid and clear. Also, important to note, the seer finds clarity the most when you stop seeking answers and you open and you find space and you regulate. Clarity will come to you. You are a magnet for clarity. And you really don't need to do anything except what I would consider like creating the conditions for clarity. I think something that's helped me as well is like knowing that whatever information I need will find me. And that's been a pattern I've seen in my life. Like anytime I want answers to something and I don't get them, like I've always been fine. It's such a survival, ego, fear mindset to be like, I need the answers now and I need it to work out this way and blah, blah, blah. Never in my life, and maybe, you know, I'd love to hear what your thoughts on this, but never in my life have I not been given the answers to the clarity before I needed it. Maybe I wanted it at certain times, but I wasn't ready for it yet, and I didn't need it yet. So, like, trusting in that, especially as a seer, and this is true for all of the channels, of course, and every single person on this planet, but especially as a seer, like, leaning into that knowing, that is a truth that the clarity is going to find you, but you are only responsible for clearing the channel, opening the field, and making sure that you are in a nice, calm, regulated state so that the clarity so you're creating the environment for the clarity to land. So if this felt like home to you or affirming in any way, you are not alone. And the world needs you attuned. We need more seers channeling and attuning to the field. So once again, this is the first of the 4-part series, the 4 channels of truth. Up next, I'll be going over the lover, the oracle, and the strategist in more depth, each one carrying a very distinct way of knowing. And clear the noise. Let me know in the comments when you just knew something that you couldn't explain and it ended up being true. I'd love to hear it. Your truth doesn't need proof, only your presence. I'll see you in the next one.